Wait, what? I can do that? This is Eric Bell with Wait, what? Financial matters that matter for business and the people that own them. Welcome to this episode of Wait, What? Financial Matters That Matter. I'm here today with Steve VerBurg of Dale Carnegie. He's Orange County president for the organization. He has 20 years of leadership experience in technology, manufacturing, and education, and 15 years of experience in multi-course certified trainer, public speaking, and as a keynote speaker. Good to have you today, Steve.
Thank you. Good to be here.
You know, for me, Dale Carnegie, and I took it years ago, a couple courses, it was always about how to be a better salesperson, because that's what I am. And I know Dale Carnegie is a lot more than that. Can you kind of elaborate or let me know more about what Dale Carnegie is doing today?
Sure. Well, from the very beginning, Dale Carnegie has always been about being the best version of yourself that you can possibly be, from the How to Win Friends and Influence People book. It's really about emotional intelligence. How do I adjust the way I approach people? How do I treat them the way that I want to be treated? So that can be whether it's in sales, leadership, management, or you're a stay-at-home mom, it can be applied to your life. So it's really about, again, just treating others better and being a better version of yourself.
Yeah, I know salespeople, some of us, we get ahead of ourselves and think we're the gods of the company, are better than others. So it's right, this golden rule, treat people the way you want to be treated.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, being in sales, relationships are key. And if you're burning your bridges as you go, then you're not going to be getting repeat business, and you're definitely not going to succeed in sales.
Yeah, it seems like the whole sales business has transitioned to a relationship business.
Yes.
I remember when I started as a broker many years ago selling bonds, it was a transactional business. You picked the phone up and you dialed for dollars. And now everything seems to be a relationship.
Well, people don't answer the phone anymore, so you can't just pick it up and expect to get somebody on. You over time have to build a trust and a relationship with anybody to be successful in sales now.
And usually it's through networking.
Yeah, it can be through networking, social media, can be becoming a subject matter expert, right? Getting people to call you.
You know, what are some of the areas you see small businesses struggling in for the most part?
For a lot of small businesses, especially family-owned businesses or startups, it's lack of processes. You know, people are attracted to these small businesses because they're kind of loose and everybody can wear multiple hats. But they find it's harder to get things done in those small businesses when they don't have the processes. So over time, as they grow, what initially attracted people to the small business starts to repel them. They want to leave and go find somewhere that they can understand the processes. Like, if I want to get promoted, what needs to happen? If I want to get something approved, what needs to happen? If I need to get an answer for a customer, I need to know how to get that answer. I don't want to have to wait around for the owner of the business to get back from his golf trip to get that answer. So initially, people are attracted to these small businesses because they don't have the same formal culture as, say, a larger organization. But like I said, that will repel them in the end.
So does Dale Carnegie help them put the processes in place, or how do you guys work with them?
We do put some process. So Dale Carnegie is all about soft skills. So it's leadership. Okay. So we help people become the type of person that people want to follow, and then give them leadership processes to lead them once they do follow. So leadership processes would be a delegation process, a performance process. How do I grow people? How do I develop them? How do I put things in place so that we can function as a team and not as individuals or siloed departments?
You know, is leadership, you think it's a learned behavior, or is it something that people just have?
I think it's definitely learned.
Okay.
It's a commodity like everything else. You can get leadership skills just by intentionally going out to acquire them. Now, that being said, some people are naturally more charismatic, right? They have more people skills born in them, and others have to work at it more. But it's definitely a skill that can be developed.
I've met engineers who have their own businesses and very quantitative minded.
Yes.
And they're personalities never really come out when they're talking to they're just very skill oriented. How do you turn someone like that to a leader? How do you work with them if they want to work with you? It seems like CEOs need this kind of help too. Not just the sales guys.
Definitely. No. Well, many engineers become CEOs of their own business, especially today's world where individuals have more of an entrepreneurial mindset, right? We actually find that a great deal, a good percentage of our customers are engineers because they go into engineering thinking, I want to be by myself. I want to sit in front of the computer. I'm really good at what I do, not realizing that, but I actually have a team around me. I have to communicate with that team. I have to interface with the customers. I have to report to the management. So engineering requires a lot more communication and people skills than maybe some of the other jobs that are out there.
Right.
But it's attracting those analytical, quantitative minded individuals because they think they can hide behind the computer.
Well, and then to the other extreme, you got the sales guy who's knocking the cover off the ball, and because he is, management wants to make him a manager.
Right.
So how do you deal with him? Because he's doesn't have really the managerial skills. He's charismatic, as we talked about. He can sell a lot, but he doesn't know how to transfer those skills to others or help other people develop.
Yeah, and that's a common mistake that organizations make is because somebody's successful in their current role, that must mean that they'll be successful as a leader in the next level up. And so that's one of the reasons why leadership development is important. Whatever type of leadership development they put in place, you don't just promote a person and expect that they can manage a team, right? You have to give them the basic skills. How do I lead a team? How do I develop the people around me? How do I motivate people? Especially when you're talking from a sales perspective, right? If I don't know how to motivate my team, I'm just putting a quota up on the dartboard and saying, go hit it. Nobody's going to hit it.
It's not enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Not in today's world. There's too much competition.
What's your process? You meet a company, somebody calls you in. How do you start off the process? Kind of discovery meeting, or how do things go with you all?
Yeah, so we initially start with discovery, whether that's conversations with an individual. It might be a CEO that says, hey, here's what I need to have happen within my organization. Then you do some cross-functional exploration where you're taking individuals from different departments, you're having conversations with them, getting multiple perspectives. Because one of the things that we find is a lot of times the CEO or an upper level executive will be pointing the finger at the team saying, they're the problem, we need to fix them. When in reality, you look at it and say, okay, well, based upon everything that we've discovered, it's the leadership team that's the problem. Mm-hmm. We need to fix them first, or just changing the individuals beneath them isn't going to do much. And I had a really good example where years ago, it was probably 15 years ago, I went into a company and they wanted to give their team some communication and interpersonal skills, really teach them to work as a team better. So went in there and started teaching these programs and found that the real issue was the leadership team who weren't involved in the programs. And so went back to the leadership team and said, well, really what we need to do is kind of put a stop to this or freeze it for a few minutes.
That's a hard pill to swallow. Yeah.
And really focus on the leadership team, but the leadership team wasn't interested in it, right? Wow. It wasn't our problem. So what ended up happening is we said, okay, well, we'll continue empowering your team, right? And in the end, they had a huge attrition because their team discovered, wow, we can really see how bad our management team is now.
So it's time to leave and go someplace else.
It's time to leave and go somewhere. Wow. So in the debrief meetings with the leadership team, they're like, yeah, it was great, but everybody left. Yeah, it goes back to what I said before. If you are managing people in the same way you were before, but their expectations are different now, mm-hmm. all of a sudden they're going to become disengaged.
You got to have a staffing company too.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yep. So you
it's
can
the revolving
fill
door,
those spots.
Right?
Yeah. So, we talked about some of the ways businesses have been struggling. What are some of the things that you see successful businesses doing?
Well, today, successful businesses are really focusing on the culture of their organization. How do I create a environment where people are engaged? And when I say engaged, they feel ownership in the organization, right? Not literal ownership unless you're handing out stock options, but ownership to where I feel like if the company wins, the organization wins, the team wins, then I win.
So is that in a monetized form or is it just a good feeling or both? Combination?
It can be either or, it can be both. A big thing is today people want transparency in their organizations.
Right.
They want to know what the goals are, the vision is. They want a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
People can connect with the mission and vision of an organization, but if they really buy into the purpose of the organization, then they're going to feel like it's up to me to make sure this organization succeeds, right? And that can be doing simple things like communicating to the organization what the purpose is, connecting the why we're asking you to do the job we're asking you to do with what the vision and purpose of the organization is. So there's a lot of different things they can be doing. It's not, necessarily giving them a bonus at the end of the year, although nobody will complain if you do.
That's right.
Right?
Share the wealth.
And it's not necessarily saying, okay, we're going to give you a pizza every Friday and have, a free lunch Fridays. It's more about, hey, I know that what I do matters. And that's important to people today. So really taking a focus on culture is where we see a lot of the organizations separating themselves from the good to the great.
I'm in the wealth management business, quote unquote. And to me, that's become a buzzword. It can mean so many different things. Mm-hmm. Just like to me, culture, I guess I'm looking for a kind of a deeper dive or a bigger definition in terms of what, from your perspective anyway, what culture means to you.
Yeah. So culture is when you're not at the office, mm-hmm. What do employees feel like the norms would be? In other words, they're not just going to be acting the way they act because you're there, but when you're not there, how is that office running? What's the culture? Are they supporting each other?
Okay.
Are they going to each other and saying, hey, if we change this, then we can get a better result for the organization? In other words, they're not afraid to voice their opinions. Again, so in the old command and control management structure, people were not willing to give their opinions because they felt like they could be either shot down or viewed as ignorant, or maybe it's going to cost me my job if I stick my neck out. If we have a culture, which means an atmosphere where people are supportive of each other, where they really go out of their way to help each other, then they're not afraid to voice those opinions. They're not afraid to take intelligent risks.
So more of an internal collaboration from top to bottom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, I'm talking about a good culture. There could be
a bad culture.
There could be people who promote cultures that are different from that. In other words, maybe we're in a industry or a field where we can't have that type of culture. We just, for example, military, right? Mm-hmm. You don't want people questioning every order. You want them to say yes, sir, and do done. What they're supposed to do.
Right.
So culture is going to also depend on the organization, the situation, and so forth, to what's acceptable.
Okay, that's good for me. There's a thing out there called LDD, and in one of your blogs you mentioned leadership dysfunction disorder. Can you kind of break that down for us and give me some clarity in terms of how it impacts a business and their success?
Sure. Leadership dysfunction disorder is really about when a leader has so much industry knowledge and experience, they feel they're always right.
Okay.
All right. So
now that's technical knowledge and experience. That's right. Okay.
Technical knowledge and experience. Right. An example is I worked for a telecommunication company years ago, and we had a VP who had helped start the company, knew the technology like the back of his hand. Mm-hmm. and one of the younger engineers would come in and give an opinion, he would literally call them an idiot in the meeting, berate them, and tell them, how dare you have an opinion opposite of mine because I know this product, right? In the end, he was kind of stripped of all of his direct reports, sat in a corner office and told don't talk to the customers. But, they needed him because of his technical knowledge, but they couldn't allow him to actually contribute to the company because
he's turning people off, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. And we get that at Dale Carnegie all the time. We call it the Statue of Liberty syndrome, where, semi, you're tired, you're weak, and you're dysfunctional leaders. We get CEOs that'll call us and say, look, I have this executive. He's the best technically that we have, but we're going to have to fire him if you can't fix him because he's costing us customers. He's costing us employees, right? Today, it's just not acceptable to have that type of mentality when it comes to collaborating with teams.
So leadership dysfunction disorder, I guess the key word is leadership.
Yeah.
The guy he was functional. I mean, he knew his thing like you said, like the back of his hand, but he just couldn't translate that to others.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. He wasn't open to understanding there were other ways of doing things.
Of looking at it.
Right.
Or articulating it, I guess. Yeah.
A minor version of that is when people are promoted into leadership, they have a hard time delegating tasks to others because they feel like they can always do it better than everybody.
Right.
Right. That's a very minor case of it.
They also have a fear that if it gets done wrong and it's under their leadership, now they're responsible for it.
Yes.
So it's kind of training your people up that are under you, I think, too, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
It's about having clear guidelines, right? If I expect X, here's what X looks like, but then not having to micromanage them to make X. They should be able to get X by themselves, right?
So you may have some personnel issues.
Right. Yeah.
You may need to upgrade your personnel, too.
You could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you help them make those kind of transition recommendations also if you see those type of issues?
Well, that's definitely one of the things that we cover is how do we handle mistakes? How do we coach people that are not performing up to the standards?
Okay.
Every organization obviously has their different policies as far as what are the steps that we need to take to transition somebody off the team, if they are not in the right seat on the right bus, right? So
but Dale Carnegie's objective is to help coach people up and keep them on the team. Yeah.
Mr. Carnegie's philosophy was 100% responsibility. In other words, as a leader, I'm 100% responsible for the success of my people. So if somebody's underperforming, I first have to look at myself and say, have I given them all the tools, the processes, and resources they need to succeed? And if I haven't, then I need to fix that first. If I have, and we've gone through all the steps that my organization requires, then yes, I should transition them off because it's not a good fit.
Well, egos being what they are, that's a hard pill for some CEOs, presidents, chairmen to swallow,
It's hard for even the lower level managers to swallow sometimes.
Yeah. Well, we've gone through a lot, Steve. Is there anything left that I should maybe ask you or that we could talk more about that Dale Carnegie's doing that you want to make the listeners aware of?
Well, I guess I could sum it up to just say, today people really have to be focused on other people. If we don't take a personal interest in the relationship of our people that we have with our people, we're going to lose them. 20, 30 years ago, human resources was telling us that we're not allowed to have relationships with our people. Today's younger generation demands that we have a relationship with them or they'll leave. If they don't think the manager or leader cares about them as an individual, they just think of them as a tool that can get a job done, then they're going to go somewhere else and work for somebody who cares about them.
That's a big thing you just said. I mean, and this is another question I got. When I look at the Millennial Generation, compared to how I grew up, it was more of the military. This is what you did. This was your sales goal. Hit it. Not, you're fired. You hit it. You get a bonus. Get a trophy. Get to go to the trip. Yeah. And nowadays, it's like most people want to work from home, being part of a collaboration or a team. Making money is important. Of course it is, but it's not like they need a trophy. Well, everybody got a trophy. So
That's it.
everybody got a trophy playing softball or bet. My son, I remember him getting a basketball trophy, same size one year. They were in dead last place. The following year, they were in first place. They got the same trophy, and everybody else got it. It was unbelievable to me. So the winners and loser type of mentality that we grew up on is kind of gone, and they have this
participation
trophy. Yeah. I mean, that's a. I guess your organization had to change in that form too, huh?
Yeah, we definitely adapt over the years to keep up with the cultural trends. The key there is that individuals from this generation are more likely to leave faster if they don't like the culture, the manager, the leader, the purpose of the organization. So it's more important today to really focus on hiring the right people,
Right.
that are going to fit your culture, fit your purpose. I should say, believe in your purpose, and really helping leaders understand how to motivate and engage these younger people in the workforce.
Do you think some of these younger people have a lack of ownership in what they do? Because, I mean, you said it earlier, some of the presidents and CEOs need to look in the mirror. It starts with them and trickles down. But everybody needs to look in the mirror and see, is there a problem with me? It seems like, to me anyway, and I'm maybe speaking out of shouldn't be saying this, but it seems to me like a lot of the millennials aren't looking in the mirror. It has to be somebody else's fault. And that's kind of a sellout to me.
Yeah. Well, I think there's validity in it. I think they're really looking in a different mirror.
Okay.
Right? You and I, growing up, we looked in a mirror where we knew the expectations and we said, yes, sir, and we did what we were told. Today's generation is questioning everything that's told to them. They want to know how what you're telling me helps me to become a better person and helps the world to become a better place, right? They want to leave a smaller carbon footprint. They want to be a better corporate citizen. They want to make an impact on the world around them. So the challenge that we have is that most of us that have a few years of experience under our belts, right?
Tenured.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good way to say it. We weren't used to managing or leading or even being managed or led in that manner. So
Right.
now we have to make it a conscious effort to connect the dots for the younger generation if we want them to stay. But I do agree with you. They have to have some ownership in it themselves as well.
Remember, I don't want to put my son on blast, but I remember I sent him an email to his work email.
Mm-hmm.
This was like a Friday night, Saturday. He came by the house, and he's 29 now. And I said to him, did you get my email? And he goes, no. I said, well, I sent to your work email. He goes, well, Dad, I choose not to look at emails on the weekends. I was like, okay. I said, I told my experience that the guys who got ahead when I was your age were the guys who looked at their emails on the weekends. Mm-hmm. So it's a whole different type of mindset. And I guess having a full experience. They don't want to just be work. They don't want to just be play. They want to kind of integrate both of them together. It seems like more so.
Yeah, the younger generations are more for work-life balance.
That's
right?
that's the word I was looking for. Yeah. Work-life balance. Yeah.
Now, that being said, a lot of them like to work when they want to work, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe I stay up till 2 a.m. and then I don't go into work until, noon. But I'm getting the job done.
Right.
And so that requires leaders, when you talk about flex time or you talk about, having all of these remote employees, because now a lot of workplaces are virtual. Mm-hmm. Now we have to manage that differently from a leadership standpoint. So it takes adaptability on our part as well. But I will tell you that, I have 3 20-something-year-olds right now, and I look at what they do, and I laugh because it's definitely different than what we did growing up.
Well, I guess for people our age that are leaders, just changing our whole mindset, that's what's going on nowadays. Mm-hmm. I mean, traffic alone, you want to let people work from their home if they can. And at the end of the day, if they're getting done what they're supposed to get done, it's all good.
That's right.
Yeah.
And with the unfortunately, with the shortage in talent that a lot of industries are facing, not enough workers mm-hmm. to fill positions, they have to go out and find those virtual employees.
Right.
Or they're just not going to be able to stay in business.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being here, Steve. I appreciate you coming in. We're going to wrap up this episode of Wait What? Financial Matters That Matter for Business and the People That Own Them. If you want to get hold of me, please call me. This is EB at 714-643-2500, and my extension is 420. And if you want to get hold of Steve, give me a call and I'll connect you with him. Thank you.